Indie Filmmakers podcast, Raindance Film Festival special episodes.
Welcome.
My name is Asatuurs, and right next to me is
Josh.
And we have a guest. And our guest is, I hope I'm not going to butcher this, I hope it's going to work out well, Roxana?
Yes.
Roxana Frontini.
Muy bien. Very, very good.
Great. Yeah, finally.
You're better at this than you think.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. It's such a nice name as well. Roxana Frontini.
And everybody calls me Rox. It's easier.
Okay, so Roxana, what brings you to London?
Well, the premiere of Regina, where I had the honor of being a supporting actress, and we are so excited. We are so excited. We didn't want to miss anything, so we went to the gala last night, and now we're here with you guys. It's so exciting.
In terms of acting, how did you end up in this strange situation?
Well, thanks to music. I always say that music has opened every single door in life for me. Originally, I started training in music since age 7. So all I knew was music since I was a little girl. And that took me to musical theater. So I did that for a long time. And I was still living in South America. So I was born in Venezuela and raised between Argentina and Venezuela. And my father is a very multifaceted individual. So he would always do a lot of acting and commercials. He had his businesses, but he's very good looking and super fun to observe. And just he has a very good delivery on camera. So he started taking me to set. And directors started noticing that he would say something and I would like mimic. So they were like, okay, why don't you bring her to the casting? And I started acting that way, but it was more commercial. And to film, it's been, especially to this film, it's been very special for me because, you know, I went through all of this different experiences in South America, and then I moved to Europe. I really started developing a career, a corporate career. I went to law school, specialized in intellectual property because the arts have always been in my heart. And I feel like as creators, we need to understand the value of ideas. And when you get a good trademarks, copywriting, and intellectual property class, then you're like, oh, okay, we have a lot of value. So very long answer to a short question. All of those years in corporate really made me disconnect from artistry. And the reason why this movie is so, so very special for me, well, there's many reasons. But one of them is because when I finished my career in corporate and I left Europe and I moved to the United States 15 years ago, I decided that I would never betray the artist in me ever, ever, ever again. So I started doing both. And this is my first opportunity as an actress in a feature film. And I got it when I was 40. And a lot of people, especially a lot of women, question themselves when they get to a certain age. And I think that as long as we're here to test things and to give it our best. So that was a long answer. Sorry.
That's great.
That's a good answer.
It is a good answer because I need to say though that we are exploring on this podcast 5 steps of filmmaking, and specifically 5 steps in this episode related to acting and the process you specifically go through. I think your background is fascinating, and I'm sure we'll find something there as well today to talk about.
Yeah, that was actually my question, because I've always felt there's a massive kind of connection between kind of music and storytelling, because music is storytelling, right? So I was actually wondering when you mentioned it, like what kind of impact has your musical background had on your acting process?
Oh my gosh, all of it. I really have to thank my father, especially for his, him pushing me to not only be a singer, but to learn songwriting and composition. Because once you learn that, and I also have to thank my mother for being tropical, because we have a lot of rhythm in the body. And when it comes to acting, I feel like what helps me is like when I get the script, I find a rhythm to the character, a rhythm to the scene, and a rhythm to the film. When you put those three together, they're always like dancing. And that helps me memorize. That helps me have more dominion over the emotions, which I think is one of the best things that acting gives us, that we understand that emotions they serve us. They're there for us. And if you look at a human experience, one of our main challenges as humans is that emotions possess us. So music allows me to do that. Like if I feel like I need to pick up the rhythm, I can do it, but I can do it in a rhythmic way without putting my character in an unnatural position, I would say.
Sure.
Would you say we arrived to our first point?
Perhaps.
Have we?
Perhaps.
Rhythm? Would you say
Rhythm.
that could be one of your kind of secrets?
Well, I think I'm going to be discovering my secrets with you guys here
I
today.
hope so.
Okay.
I hope we will discover all of those secrets today.
But yes, rhythm.
Let's make it point number 1. Rhythm.
Whiteboard, yeah?
Whiteboard. We learned from previous episodes, we've learned.
We've learned
You
things.
need a whiteboard to write it down. Okay, speaking of rhythm and your acting career in general, and let's go back. So, especially this latest film you were part of, and it reignited sort of your passion for acting and filmmaking. What would you say how your preparation process looked like?
Well, definitely a lot of research, and I really thank our director, Ashely De Grandy, because she gave us so much material. And I'm really obsessive. I think like that law background makes me really a keen researcher. So I took all of that material, and I just, for weeks and weeks and weeks, I would just study and observe. And I started doing something that has really helped also when I act, when I create music, and when I sculpt, and is to observe my own body. Like, and maybe that's point number 2, self-observation, how your body moves in your natural, when you're living life. So you start putting together like that research and maybe characters that you observed or reactions or a line that you read, and you're like, oh, okay, so I just did this because I got mad because something is not working at home or something like that. And in that frustration, I can channel it this way. Or at least one of the most difficult aspects of my character for me is that she's a bold woman, but that part is fun about her. But she's very collected. And I'm Latin. If I don't like something, I will tell you. You know, I'll find a gracious way of saying it, but I'll say it.
That's good. So that's quite an interesting second point, actually, because like you mentioned your first point being about finding the rhythm of the scene, the rhythm of the character. And then your second point is that self-observation, bringing yourself to that. That's quite nice. The points 1 and 2 go quite nicely together, I think.
How do you think yourself actually translates on the screen? Can you see yourself, or you are completely recrafting the person who we can see?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think characters borrow from our nature, but also the beauty of film, and that's why one of the many reasons why I love it so much is that it allows you to live like 1,000 lives in one. So you have the freedom, and you should have the goal, I think, as an actor to explore. Because I would never be that villain. I will never be that woman. But I can certainly share traits with her. And something that's marvelous about that, when you get a character that is like far away from who you are, is that I always talk about this with my husband. Like, in life, there are masters by contrast. People that you don't want to look like, but you can still, don't push away the lesson. Take the lesson, you know?
I'm looking into this now. And take the lesson. I like how it sounds. Can we use that, or we can't? Take the lesson.
I guess, learning from others, right? Like so point 1, finding the rhythm of the character, rhythm of the scene. Point 2, self-observation. Point 3, taking lessons from others.
Yeah, even if they are so contrasting that you're like, I always, and I tell my students at the university this, I'm like, please find inspiration in non-obvious places, right? So a non-obvious can be a something that you despise. Why do you despise it? What's in it? What's pushing your buttons?
Would you say that, for example, I can say I sometimes struggle with systems, and in the sense that I struggle because I like systems, but it sometimes feels like it's not the right place for creativity. So what you're saying here as well is you like systems, I guess, and especially your education as well, and your
Very
experiences. Tell us a bit more about how does it work with creative kind of aspects and acting specifically those systems.
That's a wonderful point and a beautiful question. I actually find freedom in systems because I am so creative and so multi-layered. Like I'm thinking about a song or I'm hearing, because I don't think about songs, I hear them in my head. So I'm hearing the song and I'm seeing how the paintings that I'm going to create that are based on that concept are going to look like. So if it wasn't for systems, I would be completely lost. I wouldn't be able to execute. So I feel like systems is what I just said. They give us freedom. Now, systems shouldn't be prisons. So it's just, I think, finding the right way of scheduling and organizing things. And I'm closing my eyes because I'm seeing this shelving unit because I'm a visual artist. So I like my shelving units, but I have freedom within the shelving units. And it's all, when you put the project first, whatever you're working on first, and you make that the protagonist, and it's not your ego, and it's not everybody else's ego, it's just the benefit of the project, you'll find that systems can give you not only freedom, but more ability to execute, to perform well, I find, and to repeat things.
Yeah, well, it's like one thing I always kind of say is like, you can't think outside the box without a box, right? And systems can give you that kind of box to work from. So yeah, they are like frameworks and stuff. Like obviously we're both lecturers here as well.
And they're not prisons. You have the key.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, students and people that first come to this sort of process can be a little bit resistant to that kind of thing. But, you know, once you break through that, I guess, that first barrier, you realize that they are very helpful.
And I actually think that's why I loved my corporate career and going to law school and then doing my master's in business and technology and all of that, because those gave me structure. So when I was finally free again to live as an artist, I am an artist with a structure. And that gives me peace. That allows me to it comes down even to finances, the way you structure your life. So you have peace of mind, peace of heart. You have a healthy home. That could be one of the points. Having a healthy home, I feel it's very, very important.
Right.
Whether like in my case, it's just my husband and I. But when you have peace at home, then you can conquer the world.
Very deep.
Yeah, there's so many sound bites we're having already,
Yeah.
which I kind of like. For example, system is not the prison, or that's a good one as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. And what would you say, how, continue on this, what would you say how the systems work in collaboration? And specifically maybe even the movie you just did. Did you apply any of your techniques and did you kind of push them across your director or your team? Or
Well, in terms of systems, it really helped me a lot because through the years that we were filming, my life was changing and evolving, and my creative agency was taking off, and my career as a musician was too, and I had to protect my voice, and I had to use my voice in a certain way if I'm going to record. So having personal systems helped a lot. And then in terms of working as a system, because that's what I feel when I think about the team, I think we were able to accomplish a very organic way of assembling. We had an amazing crew. We became family. At least for me, it was instant. I love them all and I miss them. And I can't wait to work with them again. And I feel like everybody was so willing to do whatever it takes. And that's beautiful because then it's, if you have to play a role that is not your role on set, you do it and you don't care because it's all for the benefit of the project. And when priorities are in the right place, then everything falls into place. And that is kind of the organic system that we generated.
Would you say you allow yourself to step out of your specific role and you would step in and do whatever it takes to make the movie? Or you believe that you have to be 100% dedicated to your specific role on set and kind of keep yourself out of everything else?
So in order to answer that question, I have to give a bit of how I think as a human being. I feel like we are this unit with infinite potential, and we wear all these masks, and we start identifying with the ones that are comfortable for us, and those allow us to function in the world and society. So they're useful for that purpose. But if we identify way too much with a mask, then they own us, and we forget who we truly are, which is an infinite, unbounded, just ocean of potential. And I feel like when for me, I'm going to speak this is what works for me as an actor. I can put it on, but I also think that it has to do with music, because every song is so different that when I'm performing live, it's like I'm playing as many different characters as songs I am performing. So for me, it's a lot more comfortable to I have certain cues, like with this character, she had very particular nails that I would never have. So going with her nails like this was my cue to enter into character immediately. And I started walking differently. And I practiced that walk a lot. Again, it goes back to rhythm, right? So I get goosebumps because I would go like that 3 times with the nails, and I would take like 5 steps, and that was like her. It was like a ceremony, like a ritual. Like, okay, now you can enter. Let's be the character. But right after the scene, especially for this movie, because the movie goes to very intense places, and I had to draw a lot of raw emotion and emotions that I normally would push away because I like to be more gracious, and I don't know, I'm like a sweet grandma trapped in a younger body. So I had to be very like out of myself for those scenes. And I find it more comfortable and more honest for myself just to wear the character very well, honor the character, and then once you're done with the character, that's it. That's not me.
So would you say that's an important part of your process, like creating these physical actions?
Yes, 100%. And also like giving that character context, like truly you have to have a free imagination if you're going to be in the arts in general. That's our blessing. We are free individuals. A lot of people could not even get in touch with places that are so comfortable for us, childlike. And that's the magic. So, yeah.
Would we say we arrived to the next point here?
I think we might have had like 6 or 7 points that we've sort of maybe collected at this point.
Let's write them down.
Yeah, it could be, we could do 5 steps of filmmaking and then 5 steps of filmmaking extra. Like some add-on
Another
points.
episode.
Yeah.
Or the human behind the filmmaking, because I think that's very important.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so where are we now? At which point?
So
I
feel like there's like 6. Number 5? Okay.
We have all of your support here as well now counting. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, we can hear them as well. They're here, and that's great. And they're helping us as well. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right, you were saying about what I like about what you say is, and it aligns very nicely, I would say, with independent filmmaking, and especially today, where, in fact, some time ago, people were kind of trying to specialize a lot, and then they didn't want to step out of their box and try to kind of stay there and be top professionals of their craft and so on and on. And what I like hearing right now as well in this conversation is that actually we have this unlimited resource within us which we can tap in and make something of it. And it almost doesn't matter which way it goes. But at the same time, how do you see your collaboration with directors? Because sometimes I think it could be quite difficult to get across this kind of free-spirited kind of attitude.
I think directors have a huge responsibility, and they have to direct. There's a reason for the name. And if you're an actor, it'll be like one of my paintings or one of my tools rebelling against me because I'm using it a certain way. If I'm the painter, I have a vision. If a person is the director, they have a vision. I do, as a businesswoman, I do mind a lot, and I immediately, I listen to my intuition, and I know when we are a good match. Because the script can be fantastic, but if you don't have chemistry, nothing can make up for that. So once you have that and you know that you can trust the director, then you're one of the tools. And your responsibility is to be the best tool that you can be and work with the director. It's like you were saying before in another episode, there are directors that, like you said it in a very eloquent way, but what I saw in my head is like there are some directors that put you in a box, or like I was seeing like a flower in a flower vase, right? And some directors that give you a flower and they let you do whatever you want with them. We were very blessed. I felt both. I felt that I was given very structured direction when I needed it. Sometimes when you have very difficult scenes, you do need that to anchor your body. Because if not, the mind starts going somewhere and the body goes somewhere else. And the director is like, nope, here's where we are. And other scenes where there was more freedom. And that's the beauty of film, that there is a script, but there's nothing really scripted. We're making art live in front of a camera, but you get my point.
Okay, it's very difficult even to... kind of what you're saying is brilliant, but it completely blows my mind in the sense that I'm just realizing that what we're trying to do is we're trying to create these 5 steps. We're trying to create these boxes right now.
Yeah.
and in reality, that's why? That's it. That's
because
the end.
That's what the podcast is called.
So 5 steps. Can we recap those 5 steps, please? I know that our producers are showing. Yeah, we have 5. We have 5 steps.
At this point, I remember rhythm.
Yeah, rhythm. We had others like. Oh no! First it was yourself, right? Self-observation.
Self-observation.
That's finding rhythm in the scene, rhythm in the character. Self-observation, then observing others and taking things from others. Looking after your home.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Have an oasis.
Yeah. We
What
also had
else?
Systems.
Yes.
Physical cues.
Physical cues
See,
and
that's what I was saying.
systems.
We have-
Okay.
No, I think there's another.
All
one as
right.
well.
That's we have 5. Yeah.
6.
It'll be fun if people
We're gonna-
leave us in the comment like, oh no, you talked about like 15.
Yeah.
Okay, we stick to 5. We stick to 5 if we can summarize while we speak. If Louie, if you could summarize, please, like the best ones, like best 5 for today's episode. What I wanted to ask you as well is in terms of any like a regular standard acting practices. Would you say you apply any of the standard frameworks or you don't? How does that work with you specifically?
I do, especially like memorization techniques. I use different ones, whichever, because we're changing. We're always changing. Every project's different. Sometimes I use the one where like I memorize the first letter of every line. Sometimes I just memorize the first word of every line. And sometimes I sing them. That's a self-made one. I just make melodies so I can remember them.
That's quite interesting, actually.
And I would say exercise your memory. Like when you're not memorizing the script, like I do it with numbers because it's a little bit more challenging for me because my first language is Spanish. So like I speak English, I speak Italian, I speak a little bit of French. And sometimes those languages get confused. So I do my memory exercises with numbers in different languages, and that pushes that muscle. Because if you don't use the muscle, then
That's a good point as well. That's another aspect, because we all speak English, but at the same time, same with me. You know, I speak multiple languages, and sometimes it's difficult. It's very difficult to even speak here sometimes, because you know my words get mixed up and so on and on. So I'm wondering how. This is another reason why I would never be able to act, basically, because I can't remember anything. But how do you do that? How do you keep yourself in check? And is there like a primary language for you, or in which language you think? Let's put it this way. How
I
does that
think
work?
in English, surprisingly, and in Spanish as well. And my husband would say that it depends. If I'm mad, I think in Spanish.
So in terms of your process, like how do you
No, I think in English, and I focus on if the project is in English, I'm going to be doing everything in English. So I do, in this movie was very, very helpful for that, because we have a very challenging scene towards the end of the movie. Can I say that? That we had to rehearse a lot. It was very well choreographed. So, and it's the longest scene for me in terms of lines. So it was great because dance, singing, I could memorize each step or each movement will have a line. So it's so much easier. And then you have the other actors on set, which that scene is with the lead actress, and she's Isabella Bobadilla, who was also in the podcast, and she's wonderful. So you feed off the other actor and it becomes easier. But I do like utilizing my body to lock the memory in terms of lines. And once you know your lines, then you can deliver with different, you can test different deliveries.
I wanted to move on to motivation. So I think that's a big one, and it's genuinely difficult to stay in this business, to continue, and to kind of find that motivation, because financially independent filmmaking sometimes, very often, is not very rewarding. Let's put it this way. So how do you find?
And I
the
think we should
motivation?
change that. Actually, I
agree.
it's if every person would watch an independent film for every mainstream film that they watch, or play a song for every song that they play, the story would be quite different. And I think we have to be more vocal about that. But please, let's go back to your question.
That's a good one. That's a good one. How do we do that though?
Be more vocal. I think we have to say it. Like I turn into like a little abuela, like a little grandma. I'm like, if you're watching that movie, you should be watching this other one too. And utilizing our platforms to shout out not only for our movies, for other independent creators and all the arts, because it happens all across.
And why would you say it's important, independent filmmaking in general?
What makes independent film?
Why is it important? Why is it important to
Because
you?
of
Why is
the
it
freedom. There are so many important stories to be told. And if we're only telling the stories that sell millions, which nothing wrong with that. I'm all for financial success. I love that. I think we actually have to make peace with both and have the best of the artistry and the best of the financial reward. But if we keep believing that they're separated, then that's what we're going to keep experiencing. So I think that independent filmmaking is really, really valuable because of the freedom of the storytellers, the originality. They are not looking for the financial reward. They're looking for it. When a story is being born through you, you have such an urge that it's like you cannot even go to sleep if you don't tell a story.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. That's consciousness flowing through a human being, and then through an entire team that needs to tell a story.
Yeah.
And what was the other question? I forgot. I'm sorry.
What was it?
There was none.
One.
There was none.
Okay.
It's
I feel like there was one, and I derailed. I got excited.
well, it was brilliant answer anyway. So I completely agree. We need to make more money. I agree, and we need to get people in the cinema. Agreed as well.
Yes.
And let's hope that these brilliant stories which are showcased at Raindance Film Festival as well, will kind of push independent filmmaking further and further, and give it a kind of a louder voice. Let's put it this way. So, and it's happening. It's great that it's happening. And I have to say, like, how do you see acting in the future, especially with the advancement of AI technology?
Well, I'm gonna be the Latina that I am. I'm like, why in the heavens are we trying to conquer artificial intelligence when it's a challenge still to conquer emotional intelligence? Now, I'm all for progress. I love progress. I think that we are here in this realm to evolve. So as long as it is adding to who we are meant to be as individuals, it's fantastic. If it's taken away from us, then it's not. I do believe that we need to really, how can I say this kindly? We cannot allow ourselves as human beings to be lazy. And lazy includes imagination, not only execution. So AI, technology in general, I respect it. I appreciate it. I have a master's in technology, and there's a reason for that. But I do feel that they are meant to be amplifiers and not erasers of the human talent and we are fascinating. I don't think that we own enough that we are fascinating.
Yeah, I think the people that are pushing AI are underestimating why people actually want stories, right? Because you want stories to learn something about other people and to expand your mind. And if the story's being told by AI, like what are we getting from that, really?
Exactly. Like you said, you utilize it in a wise way. I think it comes down to wisdom, which can be a foreigner sometimes for us because we have so much noise. So if we slow down and we focus on really making wise choices, then technology always becomes a support system, an amplifier, as I said.
What would you say? What would you say to young actors, for example? What are the main kind of steps of your craft they should be focusing on?
What a great question. Don't just act. Explore other forms of expression. It's so important. It is so important to understand how you communicate through your mind, your body, and then acting becomes like the common ground of other ways of expressing. Maybe explore writing, explore singing, explore dancing, explore sports too. That's a way to, like exercise for me has been transformative over the years. And really, really learn how your body interacts with your mind, your emotions. Learn a lot about your voice. I would say that. I think not every actor pays a lot of attention to their voice. And I'm very blessed to have been training with so many vocal coaches over the years for my career in music. And the voice is this amazing place that utilizes so much of your body and can give life to any range of emotion. I would also say become very mentally strong, because rejection is part of this career, and that's it. And never take it personally. It's not about you. If you are not meant to play that role, then you're not meant to play that role. And you feel it. Like I know nowadays when I'm auditioning for something, it's very strange, but I feel it in my hands and in my arms. It's like, okay, I'm this. I can really be this person, and 90% of the time I get the job when I feel that. So, like we have to audition a lot. It's part of the job. But if you pay attention to first give 100% to every audition, because that's the job. And understand to not take it personal, and see how you feel when you know that the character is for you and you are for the character. and start kind of like, don't count, but like see if you can intuitively know when you're going to get casted.
All right. It was a pleasure to talk to you, Roxana. And could you just give us maybe how can we find you? Do you have your website, Instagram, or any other social media we can follow you and see what you're up to?
Absolutely. Well, the pleasure's been mine. Thank you so much for having me. And you can find me in all social media at Rox, R-O-X, Frontini. And my website is the same, roxfrontini.com.
Nice.
Thank you so much and enjoy your time in London.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so my 5 steps are rhythm, find the rhythm of the character and the film in general. Self-observation, really observe how you are operating in normal life and then take that into acting. Systems, build systems so you can repeat actions without, unnecessarily putting yourself to a lot of work, and make sure that those systems are organic so you're not imprisoned by those systems. And then physical actions to get into character. I always find these little things that my characters do that when I do them a couple of times, I'm ready to play the role. And then look after your home. Have a home that is your oasis and where you can recharge.